Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the monthly Real Mushrooms for Pets Facebook Live Q&A session. This is the Q&A for August, and my name is Joni Kamlet, and I'm the Director of Veterinary Education and Outreach for Real Mushrooms, and I'm here with my colleague and mentor, Dr. Robert Silver, or as we say, Doc Rob Silver. Hey, Rob. And we hope y'all are doing well tonight. As we usually do, we start with a topic, and then we move into the Q&A. And Doc Rob and I are both really having a fun time lately with cordyceps for pets. Very kind of I think an undervalued mushroom for pets that we should be using a lot more than we are. So Doc Rob, I'm going to pass it on to you to tell us why should we be using it so much in our pet population.
Cordyceps has a lot of properties. It's kind of an unusual mushroom. It's related to truffles and morels, so the taste of it is very good. I think that the Cordyceps product that Real Mushrooms makes, the powdered product, tastes a lot like kind of like toast. I find it very tasty, and I think that in terms of the palatability, especially for those animals that are a little bit, cautious about new tastes, I think it should be fairly well accepted. I want to start first with its value with cats because cordyceps has also been part of the traditional Chinese herbal medicine pharmacopoeia for hundreds and hundreds of years. And in its use, we have found that it benefits the kidney and the lungs. And so cats who are prone to kidney disease could very much benefit from being on cordyceps before they ever get it, because it has a protective effect on the kidneys. It can help to protect it from toxins, and it can help to keep the kidneys vital and more young than once they get old and they start losing their function. But the cordyceps also is a good mushroom to support the lungs. And we know that there is a relationship between the kidneys and the lungs in terms of a weakness between that relationship that can also relate to asthma. So we find that cordyceps could be very helpful with respiratory problems, especially feline asthma. Dogs can get bronchial asthma as well. Cordyceps has so many amazing properties. It has very potent anti-cancer properties, especially if we're talking about cancer of the lungs. It's also been shown to work with our hormonal system and can actually help to improve levels of testosterone and improve levels of the healthy estrogens that are there. So as we sometimes find with these old, herbal types of formulas, it's not really an herb, it's a mushroom, but we'll call it an herbal formula in that regards, that when there's an herb that can improve male performance, in terms of increasing testosterone levels, it becomes a very much cherished herb. And so in the cordyceps that is gathered from the wild, a kilogram of that cordyceps gathered from the wild, because of this reputed aphrodisiacal approach, because of its ability to help that with male, winds up costing $15,000 to $25,000 a kilogram, whereas the cordyceps that we make is about $250 a kilogram, but also improves testosterone levels and other kinds of hormonal levels, improves fertility. It's been considered to be a good adjunct to improve fertility. So it has many properties. It's used because of its ability to help regulate energy in the body. And also because its ability to improve muscle performance, we see it used commonly by athletes to help improve their performance, improve their stamina as well. So cordyceps, I think it's worthwhile thinking about,
Yeah, I love that description. And I had I'm wondering about cordyceps because it also has antiviral properties. And what do you think about cordyceps for like something like kennel cough? Which, is kennel cough, I know it can be a virus and sometimes it's not, like it's a combination of things, but could it be helpful for a kennel cough, do you think?
I think that's brilliant, Joni. I hadn't actually put two and two together.
I was thinking about it today because I have a friend who has a dog with kennel cough, and I'm like, oh my goodness, cordyceps. Yeah.
I think it would be a good adjunct. Most kennel cough is self-limiting, so treating it with antibiotics is not really that necessary, except in cases where it becomes very severe or prolonged. So I could certainly see how cordyceps could help with kennel cough, perhaps combined with a little bit of a cough suppressant, whether it's herbal or pharmaceutical, because one of the things I found with kennel cough is that the coughing actually perpetuates the problem. If you stop because when you cough, it kind of irritates the lining of the trachea, which then allows it to remain inflamed. So by stopping the coughing, that's oftentimes the best thing that we can do. So that's a great application. Definitely, I would suggest cordyceps for that.
Yeah, and even as potentially a preventative, like if you're going to be boarding your dog, and your dog has maybe been prone to kennel cough in the past.
Well, I believe that there is probably some value to the vaccinations in terms of a preventative and in terms of boarding. Many kennels require the kennel cough booster shot prior to boarding, just to keep the incidence of that down in a closed kennel that has a fairly dense population to it. So I'm not sure I would recommend it for preventative because I don't have enough evidence that it is as helpful as the vaccinations are. But especially for those people that are vaccine hesitant and are tired of that and they want to find something else, I think cordyceps could be useful in that role. How effective it would be, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to wait and see what kind of feedback we get about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, very cool. So, Jordan, I know that we had some questions come in. The first one being, can cordyceps help my diabetic cat? She had 1 year with insulin, 5 months of remission, and recently relapsed. My vet would like more info before I use this. Also, how does it help the kidneys?
Okay. Well, the beta glucans and almost all mushrooms have this hypoglycemic effect, which can help improve the regulation of insulin. Now, most cats are a type 2 diabetes, and this means that their diabetes is really based on their diet. And many cats eat dry food. Dry food is very, very high in carbohydrates. Cats really don't need carbohydrates as part of their nutritional needs. And so when they eat an excessive amount of carbohydrates, it can cause diabetes. So oftentimes we find with type 2 diabetic cats that simply changing their diet to a no carb diet and a high meat fat diet that they actually go into remission then. So I think cordyceps would be helpful. I'm not, depending on what you're feeding the cat, I'm not sure I could tell you that don't worry about the insulin, just use the cordyceps. We're more than happy to share this information with your vet if they'd like, me to communicate with them and send them some of the papers that support it. Now, we don't have studies in cats. We have very few studies of cordyceps, like no studies of cordyceps in veterinary species. So I would have to be showing studies, from the human world or from laboratory animals. Now, there are also very good studies, not in cats, unfortunately, or dogs or veterinary species, but showing that with kidney disease, that cordyceps can actually lower the creatinine, that it has a very beneficial effect on the kidneys. Creatinine is the kind of the marker enzyme that we use to determine how well the kidneys are working. There's several other markers we look for, but creatinine is really the primary one. So I think cordyceps would be useful in your situation.
So I hope that's helpful. And Amy has a comment about the kennel cough vaccine. She says it's a live modified vaccine. It sheds and can actually cause kennel cough. It's also not very effective because there's too many strains, and it's not without possible side effects.
Thank you for that, Amy. I used to work doing house calls and would go to kennels when the kennel cough vaccine first came out, and I think the modern kennel cough vaccines are actually much better than the early ones. And we were able to substantially reduce the incidence of kennel cough in these kennels, because as I would go in, if the animals hadn't already had their kennel cough vaccines, they would call me to come in and administer it to them. So I don't disagree with you, but I think there is a usefulness to that vaccination.
Thank you, Doc Rob. And hi. There's people coming in and saying hello. So next question, Jordan. How can cordyceps help my 15-year-old dachshund who's 14 pounds, who has cysts on the kidney and proteinuria?
Well, we know that cordyceps can help to support the kidney. We also know, because of its ability to help regulate energy in the body, and also has some benefit for cardiovascular function, lung function, that it's very good for geriatrics. So I couldn't tell you whether the cordyceps is going to have an effect on the cysts, whether that's polycystic kidney disease or some other type of a cyst, and whether it's going to reduce the proteinuria. But I do think it's a worthwhile mushroom to try in your situation, especially because of your age, and especially because we're having some kidney issues. I won't hurt, and it very well could help, could surprise us, just how much it could do.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no downside, right? I mean, it's going to provide some benefit, might give some, might put a little boost in your dachshund's caboose. It really is an energizing mushroom for sure. So yeah, great for working dogs, great for, dogs, great for stamina, stuff like that. And I think, yeah, I agree. I think it's great for that older dog to just kind of give them a little pep in their step.
Geriatric tonic for sure.
Definitely, for sure.
Kidney tonic.
Yeah. So I hope that helps. Next question. Hi, I'm using turkey tail and cordyceps after radiation for my dog. What do you think?
I think that's a good choice.
Good combo.
We're concerned with radiation about its effect on the bone marrow. And we know for a fact that the beta-glucan found in turkey tail and found in cordyceps both will stimulate the stem cells in the bone marrow to help it start producing more red cells or white cells, or whichever particular line of cells might be diminished as a result from that. Plus, the beta-glucans also can help with tissue repair and wound healing, around the damage to the tissue caused by the radiation, because radiation cancerous tissue is very sensitive to radiation, but healthy tissue is also sensitive to it.
Yeah. The mushrooms can definitely help support that that tissue to stay healthy or get healthy again. Kate has a question. How do we determine how much cordyceps is appropriate for our dogs?
Well, you would use my dosing algorithm, which would combine the weight of your dog with what the condition is that you'd like to address with the cordyceps. So, and we have a dosing ebook available. We've got documents available that detail this, that show that for just wellness alone, we'd use a lower dose of cordyceps. In this case, maybe about 1 to 1.5 milligrams of the beta-glucans in cordyceps per pound of body weight per day. If it's a more severe condition, such as we want to use it to help with the kidneys, we might use 10 or 15. We might use 5 to 10 milligrams per pound of the beta-glucans in cordyceps. All the real mushrooms products are standardized to their beta-glucan content, and that amount is written on the side of the bottle. If you're dealing with kidney disease, cancer, things that could probably benefit from a much higher dosage, which might be as much as 15 to 20 mgs per pound per day of beta-glucans, then we would use it that way. You have to do, a little bit of math to figure it out. We also have a kind of more of generic dosing, which would be like if you're using the capsules of the pet capsules, it would be 1 capsule for every 20 to 40 pounds. So if it's not a very severe condition, you do 1 capsule per 40 pounds. If it's a more severe condition, you'd use 1 capsule per 20 pounds. And because it's so safe, you could even increase that more if you want to be sure that you're giving an adequate amount of it.
And if they're using the cordyceps powder, what is it, a
Well, the
quarter?
powder is a quarter teaspoon of the powder is approximately equal to about a capsule. These aren't drugs. We don't really have to be that numerically precise with how much we're giving. Really, ballparking it is more than adequate for it. If you're
Yeah.
not using a real mushrooms product, but you're using dried cordyceps, then we just measure the weight of that powder and give that. So typically, we might give 3 grams for moderate problems, 6 grams for I'm sorry, 3 grams for mild problems, 6 grams for moderate problems, and 9 grams for severe problems. But those numbers are generally for people, and so then you might need to get into figuring out, well, if a person is 70 kilograms and my animal is only 25, it's I wouldn't worry about dosing that much. I think get it into the ballpark, small amount, moderate amount, or a large amount based on what you're trying to address.
Yeah. I hope that helps, Kate. The mushrooms, the mushrooms in our line they have a very wide safety range, and it's, we had to come up with, I mean, it's wonderful that Doc Rob came up with this dosage algorithm, but would you say it's relatively,
It's a little nerdy,
yeah,
I am very, I'm a vet. I always dose my animals, mgs per kg,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah. And, so I wanted to come up with something, especially since I've been trying to introduce these products to veterinarians, because we really would like to see veterinarians use this more in practice. We think it'll help their patients a lot more. So making it more numerical like that really makes the vets happy. They go, wow, this is something I understand, because I can do mgs per kgs with it. So.
yeah, but you could be very simple and just, as Dr.
Mhm.
Rob said,
Absolutely.
one capsule for every 20 to 40 pounds. Um,
Mhm.
if you give more than your pet can tolerate, you might have a bit of loose stool, but generally it's going to be pretty safe.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
generally. Mhm.
So I hope that helps, Kate. The next question: can cordyceps possibly help reduce the risk of kidney damage from antibiotic
Amikacin.
medication? Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's a aminoglycoside and toxic to the kidney like gentamicin is as
Okay.
well. Okay, it's a little less toxic than gentamicin. Yes, we think that it should do that. Whether it's going to help your specific animal, I'm not sure, but there are studies showing that it is renoprotective. It protects the kidneys from these kinds of toxic damages. So that should be helpful. And thank goodness we generally don't keep them on the amikacin for more than a few weeks at a time. And in a case like that, I would use as high a dosage as your animal will tolerate, just to make sure that we don't wind up with damage from that antibiotic. But that
Yeah.
it should do that. Yeah, it should help.
Is there anything else you'd recommend for detoxing the kidneys from something like that?
Well,
Or the liver? Yeah.
um, the reason why amikacin is toxic to the kidneys is because it's eliminated through the kidneys.
Oh,
So I think something that is renoprotective is a good idea. It never hurts to give something that helps the liver do what it's supposed to do. And I'm
right.
very fond of the milk thistle extract, silymarin. But another mushroom that is also good for the liver and is known to be protective of the liver and to support liver function would be the reishi mushroom.
Mhm.
So cordyceps and reishi together could be a good
Yeah.
blend if you're giving it that amikacin.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hope that helps you. Next question. What mushrooms would help with high liver enzymes for a 10-year-old dog? And how long can you give the mushrooms? Like 3 months and then stop?
Well, I would give the mushrooms until the enzymes went down, and so in the prior question, I mentioned reishi as being very good for the liver, and then an herbal product, the extract of milk thistle seed, which is called silymarin or silybin, is one of the parts of silymarin. Um, I would I would give it and I would retest the liver and I would keep giving it until we were happy with what the enzymes were. And the question is, why are the enzymes high? Are they high for a short-term reason because they were exposed to some toxin, and now they're not exposed to the toxin anymore, so the liver's not leaking those enzymes? Or is there something else going on in the body? Is there like hepatitis? Or is there cancer? What exactly is going on? That would be more the answer for, or would help guide my answer as far as how long to use it, and really following up with testing, with blood testing of liver enzymes is the best way to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to add to that, like, there's no, you don't have to stop giving the mushrooms. There's no, like, you can't give it, like, you can give mushrooms lifelong. And there's going to be a benefit to your pet, to you. Mushrooms are just good for you. So, you can give the mushrooms to help treat the high liver enzymes, but you could also continue using the mushrooms. You don't have to stop. If you're seeing health benefit, and it's not just going to support, like if you're giving reishi, it's not just going to support the liver, it's going to support, the immune system, the body's vigilance and ability to just be more robust in general. So often people start giving mushrooms to their pets and taking them for themselves, maybe for a condition, but they feel so good on them that they keep using them. And that's totally fine.
Good point, Joni.
So we're going to move on to Christy's question. Christy says, I assume beta-glucan dose is taking into account beta-glucans in total from all mushroom supplements. I give my 13-year-old 24-pound dog 500 milligrams turkey tail, 600 milligrams 5 defenders, 300 milligram cordyceps, 300 milligrams lion's mane. It is for overall health, keep immune system happy, and hopefully to prevent another mast cell tumor.
I think you're doing well. I think those are very healthy dosages. And if your 13-year-old, 24-pound dog is tolerating that and doing well with it, I don't see any reason to discontinue. Looks like it's a single adult capsule of turkey tail, 2 pet capsules of 5 defenders, and one pet capsule each of cordyceps and lion's mane.
Yeah. And I have to say, I have probably a 12-pound, 23, 24-pound dog, my little dog Scruffy. And she takes that amount, even more some days. I mean, that's looking at that dose, at first I'm like, wow, that seems like a lot of mushrooms. And then I realize I'm actually giving more to that than that to my own dog. And she's never been better. And another thing I should mention, I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with the mushrooms, but I will come, we're living in Virginia. We just moved to rural Virginia, and there's ticks, there's fleas, there's mosquitoes. I use, I rub her down with Wondercide. We go out on long hikes, and she's just doing, she doesn't seem to be as affected by parasites as she was when we first got here. And she's 1 year more being on these daily mushrooms. So I don't know if there's a correlation, but I'd like to think that her immune system is just getting more and more robust as she's continuing to take the daily mushroom products. I guess there's no way of knowing it. So that's just my unasked for testimonial that might or might not have anything to do with mushrooms.
So Scruffy was getting intestinal parasites. Is that what you were seeing?
No, she was seed ticks. She was getting this.
Oh, right. I remember that whole episode.
Yeah, she hasn't had, knock on wood, she hasn't had.
Yeah.
She was hospitalized twice last year
Mm-hmm.
with seed ticks, and they're not on her. And the dogs that we go out walking with, we walk with a pack of dogs in the morning, like 8 dogs or so, and they're pulling ticks off their dogs, and I'm not pulling them off of Scruffy now. It's a shout out to Wondercide, because I do. Are you familiar with the Wondercide spray? It's a natural flea and tick spray. It's got like lemongrass and cedar and some other things, and so I spray it in my hands and I just kind of rub it into her coat. But last summer, she was covered with that stuff, and she still ended up. My dog has an allergy to ticks, to the small nymph ticks, and so far we've gotten through the season with none of that. So maybe it has something to do with it. Who knows? But I'm glad. So so Christy, keep up the good work with your pup. Keep giving the supplements. Linda's asking, can cordyceps help increase muscle mass in my senior dog? Great question.
It certainly could. I can't really speak to how it's going to specifically help your dog, but because cordyceps does have that testosterone enhancing effect, it becomes a bit like an anabolic steroid, not really an anabolic steroid, but it's like that. So, and plus it helps to enhance performance by its supporting of the energy system. So I think it could be very helpful for muscle mass in a senior dog.
Yeah. If they're feeling more energetic and moving around a lot more, that can definitely also help maintain that that muscle.
Sure.
Yeah. So Amy is saying that she's been giving I've been giving my senior dogs real mushrooms for a few months and have seen noticeable results. Fantastic.
Nice. Thank you for that feedback.
Great. Yeah, we love.
That's what we work for, is to hear those good stories about your pets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Hope says she came in late. I heard you say cordyceps can be helpful for the kidneys. My collie hound makes is 13. His SDMA on his senior panel goes up and down. We test every 6 months. Sometimes it is fine. Other times, like his recent test, comes back slightly elevated again. I'm hoping to try reishi and cordyceps. He is so difficult because even when I do 1/8 of a teaspoon to start, he gets soft stools. Any tips would be appreciated. I wish he was one of those dogs that the tummy isn't impacted. Yeah, that's tough.
It is. Yeah, that's a complicated question to answer, not impossible. There are other herbs that you could use. You may find that maybe I don't, we need to know what the diet is and things like that. But the sort of things that I look at to try to reduce these kinds of reactions would be, and again, I don't know what kind of diet you're feeding, what kind of nutrient profile, but I have found that the use of white rice, very, very wet cooked white rice, can provide some support to a digestive system like this, or cooked squash, butternut squash, that sort of stuff. Pumpkin can also be very helpful if you give that at the same time as the mushroom extract. Certainly, depending on what the nature is of the digestive system, is it cold, is it hot? Maybe we want to use some ginger to warm it up a little bit. Maybe we want to use some slippery elm. I mean, there's a number of ways of doing that. 1/8 of a teaspoon is quite small. A collie and a hound mix is generally fairly large. We would really need to dig deeper, which we don't really have that bandwidth here on this Q&A. But I think that, if we can figure out how to stabilize, I assume that the digestive system is also sensitive to other things, and that, so we might want to look at the whole picture of what you're feeding and what kinds of herbs can we use to support digestive function. Are there probiotics and digestive enzymes going in there? I mean, it's not a simple answer to solve digestive system problems, but the digestive system is very, very responsive to different foods and to different herbal herbs and things like that, as well as probiotics and prebiotics. So that would be my suggestion. It looks like you have some suggestions too there.
Well, no, I just Hope's adding to the, so Hope is saying he eats a raw frozen diet. He has some food sensitivities, gets pumpkin daily. I think she thinks he's a hot dog. He gets overheated easily. And I did have a question for Hope. You said in your question that you're thinking of trying cordyceps and reishi. Have you tried mushrooms yet with him? When you said 1/8 of a teaspoon, was it 1/8 of a teaspoon of a mushroom that you've tried already, or have you not added mushrooms yet? That wasn't clear from the question. whether it was an eighth of a teaspoon of some other herb, or if you'd already tried a different mushroom and didn't.
Are you thinking maybe lion's mane or
I
chaga?
was thinking of lion's mane. Yes,
Yeah.
I was thinking of lion's mane for as a kind of a milder mushroom, and but also
Sure. Or chaga.
yeah, lion's mane. Oh, so she tried lion's mane. Okay. So the lion's mane caused the stomach issues at an eighth of a teaspoon. Wow, that's a tough one. Yeah. Sounds like more. Yeah. Hard to know without having more
Yeah,
detail.
it's hard to give you a good answer just, talking about it over the fence, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you've got some good veterinary support where you are.
Right. We wish you luck. I wish we could help you more help. So man, I mean, it's like, that's the thing. Animals aren't cookie cutter. Like as Tom Kierman always says, my former mentor, anything can cause anything. So it's hard to know. So the next question, Christy's following up saying, thank you. My girl still competes in obedience, rally, lure, coursing, scent work, and acts half her age. She finally retired from agility at 12 years old. I'm happy to know the combo I'm using is correct. Christy's the one that was using the combination of the 4 different mushrooms that you mentioned was a good combo for her. Yeah. So that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. The next question from For Your Animal's Health. After my dog was on cordyceps, his kidney values went back to normal. Yay. He's been on the 5 defenders before, during, and after his surgery to remove a mast cell tumor. Would you recommend any others?
I think cordyceps and 5 defenders, either together or, in a logical fashion, are good. The 5 defenders in particular is what we recommend for mast cell tumors because of the chaga and reishi in them, which, in addition to having all the beta glucans and the good things that counter cancer, they also have antihistaminic effects, which is specifically something beneficial when you have a mast cell tumor.
Yeah. Definitely. And Doc Rob, we're a little more than halfway through the show. I think maybe we'll get probably a good idea for you to give the disclaimer that we didn't do in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
we at least we didn't do it in the end. We got halfway through.
So because we don't have a doctor-patient relationship, I really can't answer your questions specifically about the medical conditions of your pet. The answers I'm giving are more generic and more directed towards the type of problem you're describing and the type of mushrooms that we're discussing. But we don't have that doctor-patient relationship, so that's our disclaimer. I'm doing my best to give you good answers, but I can't promise that they're the right answer. They're not specifically medical advice for your pet. They're more product advice.
There you go. Good job.
Thanks.
All right. All righty. The next question from Daphne. I had blood work done on my 81-pound, 11-year-old pit mix 2 days ago after having him on 5 defenders, cordyceps, lion's mane, and an herbal milk thistle syllabum for 9 weeks. Liver enzymes down from 279 to 120. Holy moly.
Yeah. Sounds like a good job there.
Yeah, fantastic work. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, congrats to you, Daphne. Keep up the great work. So For Your Animal's Health is saying, my cats do great on the cordyceps also. Just got a big bag. I'm going to try it on my horse for his breathing issues. Fantastic. And I know you're very interested in cordyceps for horses as well, Doc Rob. And
I think it'd be it's a great mushroom for horses.
Yeah, and I'll just add, so I live in Virginia now, but I was living in Northern California, and 2 years ago the fires were just unfortunately every season the fires are terrible in California, and I had a veterinarian that was using cordyceps for the smoke inhalation. And she said it really, really helped her horses recover from the smoke inhalation. So I think it's a great mushroom for horses. Laura Healy is, hey Laura, and Laura says, my cat has stress-induced cystitis. Any advice? he won't eat any canned food.
Well, that's a problem with cats as far as getting the medication into them. Um, can you pill him with a capsule? I would suggest lion's mane in this case because of the stress, or cordyceps because it's involved with that kidney bladder system, and because cordyceps also can reduce stress. But the powder is probably not going to go over real well if it's just sprinkled on the dry food. Um, so that is a problem, and of course, yeah, if you powder it up and put it in a syringe and try to catch them and administer it, then you're creating stress, which could possibly contribute to the cystitis. Although we're talking about mushrooms tonight, maybe a CBD sort of a tincture, could be helpful as far as reducing that stress-induced cystitis, because that can be put into the mouth, or even can be put on dry food and it'll be absorbed by the dry food. Of course, then you hope that the cat will not be dissuaded from eating it because it's on the dry food.
Yeah. And this might also be a good case for a liquid tincture as opposed to a powder or a capsule, for the same reason that you can, squirt it in the cat's mouth as opposed to trying to pill them. When I had another idea, which totally went out of my head, I need some lion's mane. Yeah, good luck with that, Laura. Amy's asking which mushrooms would be best for urinary health, such as a dog with a UTI.
So cordyceps is primarily known for its ability with the upper urinary tract, which would be the kidney. Not specifically known to help with the bladder. I think, from my reading, I think that a mushroom such as turkey tail actually is considered to be good for urinary health. Joni, I don't have a lot of knowledge about the use of mushrooms for UTIs.
Yeah. I would be inclined to think maybe turkey tail too. I mean, it's got, antibacterial qualities, antiviral, antifungal. So yeah, it could be, yeah, that would probably be my go-to as well. And I want to, I might try to sneak in looking through my notes to see if there's any other indications for.
Well, most mushrooms are pretty neutral as far as their pH as well. So it may not have, because we know that the pH of the urine is an important determinant with many of the types of UTIs that we see in dogs and in cats. So I don't think that they would have an adverse effect on a UTI. And possibly looking at our favorite mushroom blend, Five Defenders, because it does give a bit of a shotgun there in terms of covering all the bases with it.
Yeah. So my notes are saying reishi is actually also good for urinary health. So okay. Yeah. Genitourinary health. And there is there's actually a clinical study. I'm seeing a reference to a clinical study, health benefits of Ganoderma lucidum as a medicinal mushroom that references urinary health. So reishi. So yeah, the Five Defenders that you mentioned, which has the reishi in it, and the turkey tail might be the good choice.
Exactly. Yeah. Good question, Amy. Thank you. I like it when I get stumped.
Hey, Marianne. Marianne says she's new to mushrooms and researching what may support him and reduce the seizures of my young dog, 28 months old. He was diagnosed this March with idiopathic epilepsy. And I think she has an additional, oh, there we go. I recently transitioned him to a commercial raw diet. He's also on Keppra and zonisamide. I'm on a steep learning curve. Yes, you are. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we don't have mushrooms that are specific for epilepsy, but when we look at the lion's mane mushroom and its ability to support healthy brain function, I think that that's a very good idea. And we know with epilepsy that we also do see quite a bit of inflammation in the brain. And so something like lion's mane, which has concentrates in the brain, crosses the blood-brain barrier, I think would be a good choice there. I'd probably include reishi and lion's mane together. If you really wanted to get, a much stronger effect. Um, I think you should look at CBD as well because it has shown benefit with idiopathic epilepsy in dogs, and is considered to be compatible with the anticonvulsive drugs that you're using.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck with that, Marianne. And you know what? I finally remembered what left my brain earlier. I
Okay.
went back Laura's question about her cat with stress-induced cystitis. What about the relaxed chews? Because they have the reishi and the
The
lion's
lions.
mane,
Mhm.
but they also have catnip in them, which we have been surprised to find out that a lot of cats will actually like to eat the relaxed chews. And so
Mhm.
they're not a canned food. They're more kind of it's a harder food, almost. That might be something worth trying.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like. It
Mhm.
occurred to me, like, yeah, because
Mhm.
like I said, we were really surprised when we discovered how many cats will actually eat the relaxed chews, because I guess the brilliance of putting catnip in the formula, Dr. Silver, has really helped our cat friends. And so
Mhm.
might be worth a try.
Oops. Yeah.
So Daphne has a follow-up question. She's the one that got her dog's liver values down so significantly.
Mhm.
Do you think cordyceps would also help his adrenal gland tumor?
I think it could, because it has an effect on the adrenal glands much more than most other mushrooms. This is why cordyceps is a classical adaptogen in that regards, and it has very cordycepin in it and the beta glucans in it. Two different types of active molecules in it also have anti-cancer properties. So yes, I do think that cordyceps would be a good choice to try in a case of adrenal gland
Yeah.
tumor. Now, if you're talking about Cushing's disease, um, then I wouldn't depend on the cordyceps alone. Cushing's disease can be very difficult. This is where it's a functional tumor on the adrenal gland that produces an excessive amount of cortisone
Mhm.
in the body. So it's like they've been on prednisone too much when they have that problem.
Right. But I'm also thinking, cordyceps on the human side is excellent for autoimmune thyroid disease. So it's interesting what the effect it might have. What do you think about cordyceps for thyroid issues in animals?
I think it could be helpful
Yeah.
um, because of its impact on the energy system.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Thyroid problems, hypo and hyper, are generally not cancerous.
Right.
Although with hyperthyroid, we do have a benign kind of a growth on the tumor.
Right.
So on the thyroid gland, rather. Um,
I'm just thinking of cordyceps just for metabolic issues in general.
well, sure.
Yeah,
I think
that it could be
as
helpful. So
yeah, as we talked about diabetes earlier. Yes,
supporting
absolutely.
the HPA axis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I hope that helps, Daphne.
Yeah.
So
Um,
the next question from Christy, Dr. Silver mentioned five defenders, specifically the chaga and reishi, have antihistamine effects. Would the five defenders be more beneficial than separate chaga and reishi for a seasonally itchy dog? I currently give my 1-year-old rescue mixed dog 300 milligrams lion's mane. She has 2 copies of the SOD1A variant.
I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure what that is either.
Mhm.
It's a genetic
Yeah,
marker.
I think you would get the same effect if you use those individually, and you could probably regulate the amounts more accurately than just with the five defenders, because then you're bringing in some other mushrooms. So, I think that's a good idea. Um, I wanted to kind of go back to Hope's question about her dog that has diarrhea, a very sensitive diarrhea, as
Yeah,
she's giving us more information about the diet. And he's on a raw diet. And I know you think that he's a hot dog, but sometimes dogs don't tolerate raw food, even though they should, because that's their primal source. you might want to see what happens if were to give a cooked, not a hugely cooked, but cook it at kitchen temperatures. It might actually stabilize the bowel. It's really specific to the digestion, and just because the dog seems like it's panting all the time doesn't necessarily mean that the digestive system is also hot.
Yeah.
So, you've got a holistic veterinarian who hopefully is clarifying all this for you and making similar suggestions to what we're doing. But that was just a thought, and I just wanted to kind of go back there because that was a real stumper, as far as what to do about the small amount of mushrooms precipitating soft stools.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you about, raw's not for raw's not for every animal, and you can still make a wonderful gently cooked or crock pot cooked, slow cooked meal. Every time I go into my local boutique pet store, they were, it was like all raw food, all raw dehydrated food. Now there's a whole freezer full of the gently cooked food. There's like a real movement kind of back towards these lightly cooked types of foods, because I think, it's not all animals can tolerate the raw, especially those that are older. Even my little dog Scruffy, like there are days where she has to wolf down her food. There's some days where she's not eating it as fast. And I'm like, okay, I haven't yet had to cook it for her, but I could see that time coming where she might better tolerate the food I'm putting down if I maybe cook the egg a little bit, or the whatever the protein is I'm putting down, for sure.
Yep. Cooking the food, digestive enzymes, things, probiotics, all of those may very well be what that digestive system wants.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck with that, Hope. Julie is saying, I'm using real mushrooms, reishi, and cordyceps for my dog with a history of thyroid cancer. Is this the best mushroom combo for him?
I think it's a really good mushroom combo. The only thing other than this you might want to do would be to go to 5 Defenders, and that doesn't have the cordyceps, which may have an advantage for endocrine organs. So I think what you're doing is great. Just make sure that the dosage is high enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's keep that in the history, that thyroid cancer for sure. Past history, I mean. So For Your Health is asking, any suggestions on dosing cordyceps for a horse who's about 1,100 pounds?
Well, before, and
yeah.
So I think we've done these before, and if we dose the horse, because horses are very sensitive to herbs and can do very well with them, and we use the lowest dosing tier of 2.5 mg per kg, and we look at an 1,100-pound horse as being about 500 kilograms or so, almost exactly, in fact. And cordyceps is a 25% beta glucans, so you would take the 500 milligrams and multiply it by 2.5 milligrams, which gives us 1,250 milligrams, divided by the, let's talk about the powder, and the half a teaspoon of the powder of cordyceps contains 250 milligrams. So we divide by 250 milligrams, and that gives us 5 half teaspoons, or basically a little less than a tablespoon a day of cordyceps. Now, from what I understand, because I'm working with some equine vets, the powdered cordyceps oftentimes can sort of settle down into the feed. So you may also want to maybe divide it between, if you're doing sweet feed twice daily, give it that way, or mix it with just a small amount of oats or sweet feed, and to make sure that the horse gets it before it eats the rest of the feed out of the pail. Because if it's at the bottom of the pail and hasn't stuck to the feed, and when I talk about sweet feed, maybe it's something that has molasses in it, or something that has an oil in it, maybe some flaxseed oil to help the cordyceps adhere to it. I think you're more likely to make sure it gets into your horse that way.
Yeah. And also I imagine said they don't breathe the powder in like,
Well, yeah, because one of the benefits of the cordyceps is this benefit for the lungs, so we don't want to irritate the lungs.
yeah, exactly.
That's not the route of administration we're looking for.
Yeah. And that was some great calculation there, Doc Rob. You always impress me. My brain just literally goes blank. I don't know if you can see. There's
after
just
30 years
like
in the
nothing there.
after 30 years in the exam room and having to figure dosages on the fly, and oftentimes in an ER context, really quickly,
Yeah.
that I haven't lost that yet with my age.
Well, does it help that I tended bar for 10 years? And so I could add up I could add up this many beers and this many cocktails in my head while I'm making them, but it's not the same as there's no kilograms and milligrams there. It's just like cold hard cash. Next question from Hope. Joni, I know there's a mushroom you like for your skin. Was it tremella? Absolutely, tremella.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Could that mushroom possibly be helpful for arthritis for us and animals as well? I was wondering if it's helpful for the outside, if it could help joints too.
Possibly could, because we liken the hydrating nature of the cordyceps to hyaluronic acid, although it's not a cartilage based lubricant. It's a glucan protein based lubricant.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware of specific studies with arthritis with tremella, but we do think that it can have a wide ranging value. How about you, Joni? You might be a little more.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I wish, because I was just listening to Lee Carroll, medical herbalist, talking about tremella. I think he might have mentioned some analgesic properties to tremella, but in addition to like literally, if you the tremella draws like moisture to the skin, so it really can be helpful for any skin condition. If you take it yourself, your skin's gonna feel really nice, and apparently people think that it helps your skin look nice as well. But tremella is also great for cognitive issues. It can be very good for the mood. I know I was thinking today about tremella, and when I first started taking it, I was telling somebody it should be called the mushroom of optimism, because when I take tremella, I just feel my mood feels kind of lighter. Anyway, I know that's not related to the question. I just love waxing poetic about tremella, but yeah, definitely could be helpful for skin and also the skin internally too. Definitely were the endothelial tissue. So next question from Laura. I have lion's mane I bought for me. Is the pet powder any different? I'll try the chews. Thanks.
Powder's the same.
Exact same thing. There's not actually a pet powder. It's we have one powder that can be used for humans or animals. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And try the chews. Let us know how it works. We'd be kind of curious. Love to hear a success story with that case.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Hope again following up. Have been tempted to try cooked. This was in response to talking about gently cooked food. Started with kibble years ago, and we had so many health issues. Did muscle testing and found he's sensitive to many fruits, veggies, etc., which brought us to raw because it was the cleanest for ingredients that met his needs. I follow Dr. Judy Morgan, yay Dr. Morgan, and may get her book about recipes and meals for home cooking. Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, kibble's not the same as kitchen cooked food. Exactly. Kibble has a lot of problems associated with it. So getting off the kibble's important.
And you're not blabbing too much, Hope. She's like, sure, sorry to blab so much. You're not blabbing. You're a pet parent that's concerned about your dog, and you're trying, you're doing everything you can to advocate for them, and that's very honorable. And that's why we're here, is to.
Yeah, this is your time to blab. Yeah. Blab on.
Okay, we got time for a couple more questions. Hi, what mushrooms can help female pugs with healthy aging?
Well, I think since the topic tonight is cordyceps, and we know that it helps to support the endocrine system and helps to support
Yeah,
the energy and the heart and the lungs and the kidneys. I think that cordyceps as a single mushroom would certainly be a very good um, place to start as far as helping your pugs age in a healthy fashion.
absolutely. Agree. Next question. My dog has pug myelopathy and 2 bladder stones. Cannot do surgery, constant UTIs. Please recommend mushroom supplements.
Well, there are some Chinese herbal formulas which can dissolve bladder stones, and especially with the inability to do surgery, I would recommend something along those lines. And I wonder if this myelopathy that you're describing also has perhaps caused urinary retention, which could also contribute to the bladder stones. Um, so as far as a mushroom supplement for the bladder stones, we don't really have a specific mushroom supplement for the bladder stones, but I would recommend that we use cordyceps because of its support of that entire, the kidney urinary tract system in that regards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't always a mushroom for everything out
Yeah.
there, unfortunately. But we
There's a
try. We
mushroom.
try.
Yeah. If there's a mushroom for that, there's almost a mushroom for all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We have time for maybe one or two more questions from Amy. Can you point me to resources on mushrooms and cancer success research? I know a 28 mom of 2 with breast cancer, and her doctor says no research shows evidence, though I know better. Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Mhm. Well, there's research and there's research, and especially oncologists tend to be, rather narrow in their interpretation of research. They look for a certain type of double-blinded, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial before they can say, yeah, maybe there's something here. The question is, what are the other choices out there? And certainly there's a great deal of anecdotal information. There are some controlled studies as well showing good results with the use of mushrooms. I think in specific in this case, I would look at turkey tail, as being a good resource to use with this mom that has breast cancer.
I would also add reishi. I think I I might be wrong, but I think reishi has well, there's a lot of the breast cancer research that's going on right now. I know somebody close to me who has breast cancer, so I was kind of looking this up the other day, and there a lot of the clinical trials seem to be around reishi right now.
You're right. I think one reason is because the reishi actually helps to regulate the hormones that are involved in the initiation of the
Yeah,
cancer,
yeah,
which is why reishi, like cordyceps, are both true classical
yeah.
adaptogens because they both affect the hormonal system as well.
Yeah, but turkey tail is kind of often known as the cancer mushroom, so it's also a great go-to mushroom as well.
Mm.
But yeah,
So in that case, maybe the five defenders might even be a better choice than the two individually, but definitely high doses of those mushrooms that we're discussing
yeah,
would, would,
yeah,
would be helpful. I mean, they certainly won't hurt, and they could be used along with whatever her doctors are recommending. She doesn't have to tell them.
yeah.
It's not going to interfere with anything.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the mushrooms is they can be used in conjunction with chemotherapy and radiation and can actually support those therapies working more effectively.
Yeah.
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 So good luck to your mom friend. Laura, yeah, the chews are temporarily sold out. We're hoping to get them in soon. You might check on Amazon. I know we were sold out on our website. There might still be some on Amazon, so I'd go and check. And we should be getting them in soon. They're just really, we sell them like it's hard to keep them in stock for sure. And Laura, if you if you can't find them, private message me. I'm on Facebook, and I might be able to help you find some being sold somewhere.
And we have them in stock on my website.
Oh, perfect. Well, there you go. The Well Pet Dispensary. So Rob Silver has so our super duper customer service manager, Jordan Swain, is our wonderful human behind the scenes who's been helping, who gives us support, who's been putting the questions down on the bottom. And so she just posted, Doc Rob Silver has a website called the Well Pet Dispensary. So you can find the Relax Chews on there. Thank you for that, Rob. That's great. Yeah. And look at that. We're out of time.
Out of time.
Well, this one's been fun. And yeah. So,
great topic.
Yeah. So next month, so Rob and I, Doc Silver and I are going to be doing a lot of traveling. Rob's speaking everywhere.
So are you.
Well, next week we're going to the Veterinary Acupuncture Conference, International Veterinary Acupuncture Society. Their joint congress is next week, and Doc Silver is speaking for 3 hours on mushrooms. Then he'll be at the Southwest Veterinary Conference doing a lunch and learn. He's speaking to veterinary hospice veterinarians after that in Texas at the Hospice Convention. And then he'll be at the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association annual meeting speaking to veterinarians about mushrooms. So yay, lots of information for veterinarians getting out there about mushrooms.
Joni, why don't you share where you're going to be? Because I think these are some very interesting.
Yeah. So I just got back, 2 weeks ago from the Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pet Experience in Chicago. Phenomenal event. Oh my gosh, I came back so inspired. Dr. Judy Morgan, Billy Hookman from Green Juju, and Angela Ardolino from CBD Dog Health all spoke. We exhibited there. It was fantastic. In September, we're going to be, Dr. Judy Morgan is speaking at Bark in the Park in San Jose, California. It's billed as the largest pet event in the country. And so Dr. Judy is going to be speaking. We're going to be there exhibiting. Then I'm going to be down at the Thrive Pet Expo down in Newport Beach, California, with a number of amazing speakers. I can't name them all, but Rita Hogan, Julianne Lee, Odette Suter, Katie Kangas, Dr. Katie Woodley is going to be there. And then in October, I'll be speaking with Dr. Judy, Billy, and Angela in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's October 21st. So if you're on, we send out a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. If you ever buy a Real Mushrooms pet product, unless you opt out, you get on that newsletter list and you can follow us in our schedule and know where we're going to be. So so I think that's it for tonight. And I think we're usually here the last Thursday of the month. I'm not sure next month. I don't have the exact date, but I don't know if we'll be I don't know if it's going to change up or not. Okay. So the next one, it's not going to be the last Thursday of the month. It's going to be September 14th because of all of our travel. And that's right. It's going to be you and Jordan. You two are going to be on your own because I will be headed to, I'll be on an airplane headed to the Bark in the Park event in San Jose. Yeah. So, all righty. Well,
hello.
See y'all. Okay. Hello. Background noises, but okay. Bye-bye.